So today we are talking about navigating year-end reflection and goal setting to set you up for success. Believe it or not, we are 11 months into the year, if anybody can believe that we need like the little guy emoji, that the year has flown by. We have about 60 days left before the end of 2023. And I wanted to talk about some really good, interesting best practices that you can use in your life to prepare for next year. And then the other side is thinking about reflection on the year that you just had, and then preparation for the year that is about to come. So I think we can very, very easily walk into life and just kind of drive around with a blindfold on, for lack of a better term, is we just let life happen to us. We don't have anything strategic. We spend time working for other companies, for our boss, for a job that we have, and doing strategic plans for them about what's going to happen, but then we don't ever sit down and do the same for ourselves. And I have so many books that I can recommend to you guys. I have so many things that I can encourage you with, from the financial side to the personal development side to real tactical things. But today we're going to kind of talk through what are those steps to closing down your year and preparing for the one that's coming with intention and with excitement. So the first one is really reflecting on your year. It's a practice that I learned it actually from a lady named Rachel Hollis, Hollis, and Rachel has kind of been pre-COVID. She was in this motivational world. She had a book that came out. It's called Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing. I think they're great, great books. They're definitely female oriented, but one of the things that she does is at the end of her year is she sits down and she goes through her entire calendar from 2023, and she goes, okay, what were the highlights of my year? What are the things that I'd like to repeat into next year? What are the practices that I did? And it's really this moment to say, yeah, I did some really, really great things. It's my time to be grateful for them. And I think that as we're driving in autopilot and we're going down the road, we're just kind of letting life happen to us instead of stopping and saying, oh, this is great. I need to celebrate what I did this year. And I need to use that as fuel for what I want to do in the next year. So we can kind of sit there and be in our moment and stop doing that. So this exercise, and Rachel does it for a full day. So I would encourage you guys to block half a day at minimum, if not a full day, to do this reflection exercise. So what are the benefits to you of doing this exercise? Well, I think it first is self-awareness. Is as you look at your schedule, you can go like, hey, I was really inconsistent in personal development. I was really inconsistent in my exercise. Growth is another one. And then improved decision making. It's going, hey, as I walk into, this is the things that I love about what I did this past year. These are the things that I'd like to do more of because X, Y, and Z reason. And then also your gratitude is that you're able to say that I got blessed with all these amazing things this past year, these trips, these job opportunities, the things with your children, things with your spouse or your partner, your family members that you celebrated. So say you went to your grandmother's 90th birthday, being able to sit back and reflect on those moments and going, yeah, I want to make sure that I have more of those, and I'm going to be intentional next year about scheduling them and doing them. Because otherwise you wake up and the year has passed, the quarter has passed, the 6 months has passed, and you're like, what did I do with that time? And remember, time is the only commodity that you can't renew. You guys know that time, and I think that people don't really truly sit down and think about this enough. That this exercise of reflecting on how did you use your time? How did you use your 365 days? You're going to be a little bit 305 days because it's about 60 days out from the end of the year. How did I use the gift that I got of 305 days. How did I use them? What are the things that I did great? What are the things I want to do more of? And so I would encourage you guys, and I know that I've shared before, actually, it's posted on my LinkedIn. So if you guys look on my LinkedIn, you'll be able to find a post of it. But I use the schedule that I've used for a couple years. And I have the template that's on there. And it's basically like my handwritten daily schedule. I actually published this on Amazon. And it's just a super simple book. And again, you guys, the book is $10. And I think it's 100 days in here, if I'm not mistaken. But part of my routine is every single night I sit through and I walk through, like last night before I went to bed, I did my to-do list, I did my goals, and my goals stay relatively consistent for a quarter or for a period of time. I do my schedule, and then I have notes, and I have a couple like things that I want to tick off for the day that are more strategic. Whatever version that you choose to use, if it's something in paper, if it's Rachel personally does a digital calendar, so she keeps every single thing inside of her calendar, from her workouts to her meetings, and she goes through month by month and just kind of captures. And I would encourage you guys to, what I found to be most useful is these categories. And so you're taking a category and you're saying, okay, this was my personal development. These are the things that I did around personal development. This was my family time. These were my vacations. These were the things that I did professionally. These are, and you just kind of create those buckets and you reflect on each of those buckets. And you say, okay, for example, there's a conference, it's called GLS, that we've gone to for many years. Yeah, I had a great time this year at GLS. I'm going to do it again next year. Let me go into my calendar for 2024 and block it for next year. Personal development course. Let's say that I have a friend that mastering money was her goal this year. So she wanted to make sure that she understood her finances and money. So she took courses and things that were directly related to that. So you check that thing off, sitting in this moment of reflection, going, hey, pat on my back, Barbara, pat on my back, Susan. I did these courses. I improved this area of my life. What do I want to do for next year? What's that area of my life that is just always a struggle for me? And so how do I enroll in courses? How do I surround myself by people? And it may be something as simple as scheduling a monthly call with somebody that's really good at their finances that you want to learn from. So doing that reflection and then putting categories to all those areas and then saying, congratulations, I want to do more of this, I want to do less of this, and then start setting out that blueprint or that roadmap for 2024. So that day, half day, full day of reflection is critically important. In our company, one of the things that we just started doing last quarter, which it's probably been a year process that we've been walking through in this one, is that we have once a quarter an 8-hour session, a full day session, where we establish what our goals are going to be for the following quarter. So I'm only asking you guys to do one day out of the entire year. And I'm telling you, if you can do a half day, great. But find a place, go to a quiet, say a friend's apartment that that's empty. Go to a coffee shop that you really, really love and you're going to set up camp there for the day. Send your family out to go do something and sit and put all your papers around you. Have your calendar up on the screen and sit and do this investment in yourself because you're not going to regret it. And even if it's a little bit uncomfortable and weird in the beginning, that's okay. But you should be able to walk away from this session and know, hey, these are my goals for this. This is my appreciation for what happened to me this year. And these are my goals and things I want to set out to bring myself to the next level for next year. So then any questions on reflection or this exercise of blocking this time? And also, you guys, if you're like, Barbara, you're crazy, that's impossible for me to do, I would love for you to ask those questions or poke holes in it. And I'm happy to share with you how I do it or what it looks like. I have a friend that books a hotel room at a beautiful hotel on the beach. For me, my parents live here and their apartment's empty sometimes, and so I'll go there and go to their apartment because it's kind of a good neutral space for me not to get distracted. My house is also like I'll make sure that the kids don't come home and the kids go somewhere else and then spend the day doing that. I've done that. And I would really encourage you that as much as you may want to be in collaboration with your partner, it's really important that you do this you individually. So maybe you want to do the beginning half of the day, just you and you doing that reflection, and then maybe do the last half of the day with your partner. You guys decide what can fit for you, but just start by making a move and start doing it. So that's reflecting on your year. Next one is setting SMART goals for your new year. So ever since, gosh, I can remember, it has to be at that I have a one-pager that is my, a one-page document, and I can send the template when we send our recap email out. And basically on this one-page document, and I use this primarily for my corporate jobs, but then I started doing it on a personal level. So what I would do is I would take the entire year and I would put it into 4 columns. And then underneath each of those columns, there was categories. So it would be a personal category, personal, I mean, for me, personal does not encompass your family yet. It's just what am I going to do for me? Then the next one is going to be your family category. And then the next one is going to be your business, your work category. And then I always do also put in their finances, just because I think that it's really, really important that kind of shapes the overall part of yourself. And if finance is not important to you, maybe it's going to be your health, whatever that thing is that speaks to you, put that in a separate category. So on the personal side, what I do is I go through each category and I go, okay, each quarter, this is the thing that I want to focus on. Personally for myself is that, let's say one of the things that's been on my list and I haven't done, I bought the class, but I haven't done it yet, is my scuba diving recertification. That it's this activity that I really, really love to do. It brings me so much joy, and I haven't done it in years, and so I want to get recertified. So that can go under my personal, that it's just this thing that I want to do for myself. It can be, say, I have a life coach, so weekly sessions with my life coach. That's something that I am committing to myself that's going to get done. And that life coach thing may be in every single quarter, but I would encourage you that they are SMART goals, specific, measurable, that it's achievable, that sure, I can spend 30 minutes or an hour a week in connecting to my life coach, my counselor, my mentor, something. Relevant and then time bound, obviously. So you're putting really, really strict measures around it. And you should, at the end of the quarter, be able to say yes or no, it happened. And the other one would be like the scuba diving certification. I'll put that into quarter 1. And then let's say that I didn't get to it. Making sure that you're really, really flexible with yourself and you're allowing yourself movement. So I say, all right, I'm going to move it to next quarter, but this is the thing that went in place of it for this quarter. So let's say that I got a nursing certificate or something like that, that I make an intentional decision to move my scuba to next quarter and replace it with something else. And I always, the one that I have on my, I'm going to show you guys my wall right here. That's a beautiful drawing that my daughter did. And then here. So this is my company one. But this is what my personal one also looks like, split up by quarters. And I'll send you guys. I now have it on my desktop on my computer. But I will put it in a place where I could constantly see it. So I'm constantly reminded of this is a commitment that I made for myself that I want to do. And this day of planning and reflection is your foundation. And don't be too rigid in this process, because it's hard in a December to be planning out what you want to be doing next August or next September. So put all of the things on there as a framework and say, okay, these are the 4 big things that I want to do. I want to take tango lessons. I want to get my scuba certification. I want to go to a financial, money accounting was something that I wanted to learn at what point in time. So I want to take an accounting course for 3 months online, and I want to do this other things. So you're putting it into these categories, but you're leaving yourself flexible enough to be able to move it between the different categories. And then you're repeating that process over and over for each of those buckets that are important to you. So you're going to have your buckets on your left-hand column, and then on the top-hand column, you're going to have time. So doing it on a quarterly basis gives you accountability, because really, truly, and there's a million different ways of doing this, you guys, but I'm just presenting my way that I've done it, for the past 10 years that works for me. I give myself the flexibility to do it over 3 months because then I can slowly chip away at it. Some people break that down even into monthly and weekly because they get that specific. That just doesn't work for me. But there's another method. Tony Robbins does a method. It's called RPM. It's a rapid planning method. And what's really cool about what he does in RPM is that you start first with your goals. You start with, I want to be an amazing father. And then you go, okay, for this year, I want to be an amazing mother. What does this look like? I want my kids to feel loved. So what does this look like for me? And I would probably say like this season, the last 6 months for me, that has been picking up my kids from school. So picking up my kids from school has just been one of those things that I block on my calendar, and that went into my family category. Is me picking up my kids from school every day just as important in my life right now in this season. In previous seasons, it wouldn't even have crossed my mind to do that. My kids stayed in aftercare at school until 6 o'clock. My parents picked them up. Like, it was just a different place that I was in. But in this season, this is what I want. So thinking about what are those things, writing them down, and then doing a quarterly reflection on them. So part of the process that we do at Ola Inc. is that we do our every quarter review 8 hours of the goals that we're going to put onto our worksheet. And then we make sure that we're on track for those goals over the course of the 3 months, and then we do it again. So as you guys are doing this full day, I'm not recommending doing it this full day 4 times a year because I think that's a lot to take on. But make sure that at minimum you're doing once a month a check-in. And I have 2 really critical check-ins. One is a financial check-in, and then second is this check-in to my goals. Is just saying, hey, this is what my roadmap is, and I want to make sure that I'm on track for these things, and I'm okay if I need to move things around. And can anybody think of any goals or any questions of things that they want to focus on as you look at this year, or have questions how they apply these goals? Because I think what can be hard for some people sometimes is to think about what's kind of that heart thing that you desire, this maybe the connection to your children, the connection to your spouse, the connection to your job. When you think about that, how you then translate that into a smart or measurable goal. And I'm happy to walk through an example with any of you. If anybody has a question or wants to talk through it. Or is like, no way, Barbara, I can never do that. You're crazy. No? Okay. I'm going to keep going, keep teaching. Okay, you guys, so I think we've talked about the reflection of the year. And again, if you guys don't have your entire year documented, that is okay. Just sit and look through emails, look through your calendar, look through something that you've written down in paper, and just try and go back and remember and reflect. Next one, put it onto a template that can fit into 1 page. For me, it's important that it's a 1-page template that I can put on my wall, I can put on my desktop on my computer, and I can see it. And I could say, hey, these are the things that I committed to. And I do it in bullet format because I find that that's the easiest for me, at least, is that I kind of have cues to myself. I'll put like scuba, or I'll put one that I have is a money machine. Oh, Denise, I do reflections constantly. That's why I'm here. Thank you, Denise. That's amazing. Yeah, and it's really turning those reflections into actionable items. We're saying, all right, this is great. I acknowledge this. I'm grateful for it. This is what I'd like to do next. Christian?
Yeah, hi everybody. I just wanted to bring this point forward because it's always a challenge. At least for me, it's always a challenge to look at the, you know, how writers have that blank page syndrome that you don't know how to start writing. And for me, it's always a challenge how to plan my next year or the next month or what have you. But this approach, like the one that you've mentioned about that author that you followed, and looking at your past year and looking at your best practices. We've all done it for the companies that we work for, right? We've all done it in our jobs. And I had never seen this approach for our personal lives and seeing what has worked, what the best practices for this year were, and what I would like to repeat on the following year. So I think it's amazing because it's a good start on how to start plotting new things into the next year's calendar. So I really value that because I had never thought about that, and it already gives you like a good head start on how to start filling out for next year. Because when the pen hits the paper, I typically go blank and not knowing what's right, and it brings a lot of accountability and sometimes not even knowing, because when people tell you, oh, visualize and try to project for the future and try to write your goals and visions, a lot of the time you don't even know what you want, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
realize it until you really face the challenge of having to write it down, and then that's when you realize, oh gosh, I don't even know what I truly want and desire. So this approach is it's fantastic because now I know that I can look at this year, what I want to repeat from the following year, and what I want to build up from that. So yeah, I think it's very valuable.
Yeah, and it really allows you to celebrate how you've grown. If I go back to, last year, I'm like, okay, I was opening a new business. I was, we went to a big conference. We got a couple big awards. We did a ton of personal development stuff. My husband and I, we did a financial personal development one. We did a health personal development one. We went on a couple good family trips. We did a really fun birthday party with our kids. We did some fun events at our house. So really going back and going, oh, these are moments and highlights, and I like to call them core memories. You guys know that movie Inside Out. As me and one of my friends is, I'm like a really crazy parent, and I believe in like creating core memories. And core memories don't have to be expensive things. And so it wasn't this year, but the year before, I had a goal where I was going to do one crazy, insane thing with my kids a month. And it was like a surprise. It was like dress up in costumes and go out to dinner. It was, we surprised well, we did, we went to all of their friends' house with water balloons and like rang their doorbells and put a bucket of water balloons on the front door and rang their doorbell and threw water balloons at them, and then they came out and saw their bucket, and then we had this like fun, crazy moment that created surprise and delight and excitement, and my kids could see me being a kid, and you could also see this other person's parent being a kid. And so thinking about what are these moments that I had this past year, and how do I create more of them, because they were special to me and my partner. They were special to me and my mom. One of the goals that I had last year as well was around my grandma, is that I would call my grandma and talk to her maybe once a week, but we would always have these really superficial conversations. So we would have, hey, how's the weather? Oh, it's windy here. Oh, what's going on with this? Did you go to Walmart this week? I went to Walmart this week. So I became intentional about having conversations that would create memories about her past, about her childhood, about things that would really connect us. And so thinking about what conversations, what interactions you had, what lunches, what dinners, what breakfasts, what moments, say it's watching movies on Friday nights with your kids on your sofa, saying this was a core memory from this past year. I want to keep doing it, or I want to create something different. So yeah, Christian, that's fantastic. I think that this infrastructure, at least, provides a framework that you can then repeat. And I think once I share with you guys a template, it'll help as well. And then really truly is thinking, being really realistic about goals. I would venture to say that you really can't have more than 3 goals that are achievable. And I think people misperceive goals as something smart. So it's specific, measurable, actionable, and time. But sometimes your goal might be something as simple as self-love. So your goal is self-love because you know one of the things is that you're being really hard on yourself. And you being hard on yourself reflects in all these different areas of your life. So you being able on a daily basis to write down, on your sheet, this is my goal that I'm committed to right now. I want self-love. I want this financial thing in my life. It might be a number that it's like, I want X number of dollars in income a month. And then your other goal may be something about, let me think of another one, maybe something career oriented, something financial, and then maybe something career oriented that you want to get a position or you want to get something, you want to achieve something. And those things, writing it down every single day, putting it on your mirror as Post-it. And you guys have heard my Post-it strategy that I use is that I put my goals on Post-it notes, and then when I finish those, and I look at them constantly, and then when I finish those goals, I move it to another place on my wall, so I can see all my goals that I accomplished. Is that you being able to have the cyclical thing and saying that, okay, this is the 1 or 2 or 3 things that I want to achieve this quarter. These are my most important things. These are my highlights. If nothing else gets done, these things are going to get done. And the more that you're able to keep yourself focused on these things, then the easier it is. So let's talk also about challenges and staying motivated. The reality is, and I spoke about this in the beginning, the reality is that stuff is going to come up in life. Stuff is going to come up. You're going to have challenges that throw you, for a tailspin. You're going to have someone that gets ill in your family. You're going to get ill. You're going to have a financial something that happens. Maybe you're in a country where the economy has issues, and so something happens to the currency or inflation. That really, truly being kind to yourself and being flexible with what these goals are. I see a lot of people have rigidity in their life when they do this goal setting process. Is that they're like, this is how it needs to happen, this is how it needs to get done, this is And when you really truly think about it, life is not meant to be rigid. Think about the ocean, think about the rivers, think about the trees and the leaves. Every single thing in this world around us is moving and ebbing and flowing. And what breaks? The things that break are the things that are rigid. So it's like the piece of bamboo across the river that's raging. It's going to break. The branch on the tree when the wind is blowing, it's going to break when there's enough wind. So us being able to be flexible, to be ebbing, to be flowing, that every time something comes in unexpectedly, it's not a reflection of us. You're not a failure because you have to change something on your grid, because you have to change something on your annual plan. You just go, okay, that's interesting. That's not going to happen this quarter, so let me see what I flip and put in place. And then the other side of it is like allowing flow. Allowing flow to happen. The computer behind me just turned on and scared me. The flow is going to happen, but also don't be hyper vigilant to procrastination, to self-doubt, and to setbacks. So sometimes when you put that big important dream or goal out there, say you want to make X number of dollars for your family a month, is that you have to take action towards doing the thing. So what are you procrastinating on? What are you doubting yourself on? And digging into and saying, okay, why am I not getting this thing done? Why did I move it through 2 quarters now and it's not happening? And really go, okay, why? And somebody, you always hear good leaders that they say, ask better questions. It's going, okay, I moved my scuba diving from this quarter to next quarter. Why? Am I afraid? Am I not making the time for it? What are the reasons that I'm procrastinating this thing? Okay, Barbara, this thing, me learning how to skydive is more important than scuba diving. So that's I don't want to skydive. I have skydived, but I don't want to learn. But this thing is more important to me because, okay, the scuba class is next quarter, and that's okay. But really, when you start pushing things and when you start pushing things in a direction that's compromising yourself, be conscious of it and make sure that you're documenting. And one of the things that I do on my worksheet is that, I put everything in bullet format in the quarter. And then if I moved something to another quarter, I put it in italics so that I knew that, Barbara, you said you were going to do this quarter, and now you moved it to next quarter. You better get it done this next quarter, or you better ask yourself why you're not getting it done. Okay? And then staying motivated is, I think it's really, really important that you think about what are those things that motivate you and drive you. And I apologize if I've already said this one to you, but my husband just shared this statistic with me recently that it was about the types of people that you hang out with. And I keep on repeating it because I think it's so powerful, is that when you are spending time with individuals who are more accomplished than you, who you perceive are smarter than you, who have done more in their life than you, who, you're just in awe of them and what they're doing. They have personal peace. They go to the gym every day, whatever that thing is that you're trying to achieve. When you start associating with people like that, you have a 25% chance of increasing because let's say that the gym is the thing that you want to do. You want to go to the gym 3 days a week. So you start talking and connecting to people that go to the gym 6 days a week because you're like, I want to listen to your dialogue. I want to see what it is about you. I want to see how you have that discipline of what you're like. So then all of a sudden, when you're in the circle with these people who go to the gym 5 or 6 times a week, and you're like, I went last month, all of a sudden you start upping your game and you're like, all right, I'm going to go once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. Your potential for improving yourself goes up. The statistic that's really, really powerful is that when you're associating with people that are not in an achievement level that you are at, so those people that never go to the gym and have all the excuses on why they don't go to the gym, you have a 75% chance of slipping backwards. That is really, really powerful. So if you associate with people that have achieved the stuff, you're going to get 25% better. If you associate with the people that are not doing the stuff, you have a 75% chance of getting worse. So think about the circles and who you're going to, and have this be a part of your planning process. Who am I going to spend time with? Who am I going to associate with? Who's in my network that I know that has mastered this thing in their life? So if scuba diving is my goal, I'm like, okay, I know off the top of my head 2 friends who scuba dive on a regular basis. So I'm going to start talking to them. I'm going to say, when are you going to dive next? Where are you going? All right, you have a trip in 2 months. Could I join that trip? That's going to put fire in my belly when I make the deposit on that trip to get my shit done, to take my class, to do those things. If I don't associate with them, there's not a heck of a lot of motivation for me to do it. So think about those associations upwards and be super conscious about your association downwards. And when I say downwards, my intention is not to insult anybody. It's just going like, hey, think about who you want to be. Make sure that you in your DNA feel worth it to be that person. And then start bringing that energy into all the areas of your life, because all of a sudden, when you're going to the gym a couple times a week, your partner who's sleeping in is going to go, crap, maybe I should go for a walk. And they're going to start taking a walk. And then your kids are going to see it. And they're going to start going, all right, maybe instead of watching TV or YouTube, I'm going to go and play tennis. This is what my son is into right now. So I use a real life example. But really, truly making sure that you set yourself up for success to achieve what you put onto that piece of paper. And then what questions do you guys have around this? I know this is a lot of information, but we kind of talked about doing your reflection on the year, using your template to set specific measurable goals for this upcoming year, and making sure that those goals align with the values. The goals do not have to be money, does not have to be specific task orientation. It could be something that plants teeny tiny seeds. Todd asked a good question. How do you reset when you don't live up to your goals? Well, this is reality. I think reality is that we're not going to hit we're not going to hit the target all the time, but if we stop trying, I think that's a bigger thing. And for me, the reset is association, is making sure that I look at somebody who is doing it or has done it or has mastered this thing, and I'm not mean to myself. I go, okay, I wanted to go to the gym 3 times a week. Last week, I made it once. Good for you, Barbara. Next week, it's 3. And not going into this New Year's Day resolution where you say, I'm only going to eat vegetables, and then you set yourself up for failure. It's just go into it with things that are realistic and achievable and sustainable. And so I think I've given you guys the analogy of the gym that I have here is I don't like going to the gym. It's just not my thing. It doesn't excite me. But I know when I go to the gym and when I get there, I feel so much better. So one of the things that I did this year is I recorded a video of myself. When you leave a really good workout, you're like, you think you could like take over the world. So I recorded a video of myself and I was like, Barbara, this is the reason you go to the gym. And I'm talking to myself and I'm like, I feel this, I feel that, I could take over the world, da 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 da. When you don't want to get your butt out of bed, like watch this video. And when I don't want to get my butt out of bed, I'll watch the video. And for me, I'm like, okay, reset. I don't give myself a heck of a lot of time to feel sorry for myself. But also my gym is, I found a gym that the model works for me, is that when you sign up for the class, if you miss the class, they charge you $15. Like you have your membership, but if you miss the class. So God knows my butt is going to get to that class. I have like practice like my pajamas on and I'm like that girl that walks in with the sneakers limping. I'm like, I'm here. And I make it to the class because I know there's a consequence. So I put kind of those things into my life to help me stop. And I think that just the kindness is if you miss a goal, if you don't hit a goal, don't talk about it. Don't whinge about it. Do not surround yourself by people who are going to let you excuse yourself. You guys, we're smart creatures. And so that when you say, oh, I didn't make it to the gym this week, you're not going to tell that to your friend that gets to the gym 5 times a week religiously. You're going to tell that to your friend that never goes to the gym. And your friend that never goes to the gym is going to say, well, come with me. Let's go have a beer. You'll feel fine. You don't need the gym. You look great. You guys know that compromising of yourself. We're smart. We're smart little beings, and we'll associate it with ourselves with people who will give us an answer. So just knowing who you want yourself to be, and not feeling bad about it. What else? Any other questions? Any other challenges that you guys see in your goals? And again, this is not a New Year's resolution. This is a sitting down, saying each quarter in each category of my life, I want to get 2 things done. Don't overcomplicate it. I want to get this thing done in my business, this thing done in my personal, and start with 1 if you need to. It's just that process of sitting down and saying, what did I love about my year, and how do I do more of it next year? This is not leaving your life to chance, because back to the commodity thing that we talked about in the beginning, time. This is the only thing that you can't get more of. And there's a great book that I've referred to you guys to before. It's called Die with Zero. Die with Zero. I can't remember who the author is, but please read it, check it out, listen to it in audiobooks. And the guy just talks about, he's very tactical money wise, but conceptually he's talking about how do you design your life in a way so that you don't get old and have all this money saved in the bank and you didn't do what you wanted to do. So you're basically, he's doing what I'm asking you guys to do on an annual basis, quarterly. He's doing it across all of his life. So he's saying, when I'm 50 years old, I want to go to Machu Picchu. And so he's putting away money in the bank to be able to achieve that thing, so that you're not going out and you're spending money on stupid things that stops you from doing those big goals, right? And you're not squirreling away your money, and then you wake up and you're 90 years old and you're going, crap, I didn't want to climb Machu Picchu at 90, I wanted to do it at 50, right? So if that trip, if that thing, if taking your kids to Disney World, if going to, a lot of people found in Maldives recently, I don't understand it, but people going to the Maldives, if you want to go and do those things, like put a stake in the ground and say, all right, I want to do it this year. And this is what I'm going to sacrifice to be able to get to do that. I'm going to make an extra $1,000 a month. I'm going to, oh, there we go. Thank you, Dagger Zero, good read. So yeah. I want to give you guys a chance to ask any questions if you want. I feel so passionate about this because I have done this for 10 plus years, and trust me, you guys, it can transform your life. And I think the most impactful thing out of all of this is stopping and taking a moment to be grateful for what happened the last 12 months. Just making a list, just looking at your calendar, just putting all the dinners, the lunches, the connections, the things that you did with people that were meaningful. Like going through that exercise will go, how do I repeat that next year? And how do I make it better? The conversation and the dialogue can never, ever be, oh shit, I didn't do what I was supposed to do last year. I suck. I didn't get to the gym enough. I didn't eat well enough. I didn't do these things. The dialogue gets to be, no, to be the best version of myself, this is what I'm gonna do next year. And speak with certainty. And I was just I have a women's group every other Tuesday, and I was in my women's group last night. And one of the women was talking about how her prayer request was that she was in a really good season and she wanted the season to continue. And she was like, and I just want to pray that the season is going to continue. And I stopped her and I said, hey, I want to challenge you. Could you say that in the present tense? Because she was saying, oh, I wish, I hope, I'm begging that this goodness is going to continue. I said, could you just say, hey, my life is great, and I know it will continue to be great, and I know I will continue to be blessed, and I know I will continue to have this, and I know I will continue to exercise, and I know I will get the job, and I know and if I don't get the job, then it wasn't meant for me, and there's something better out there for me. Could you just speak in the present tense about what we want? We don't do it because we're setting ourselves up for failure. We're just going, okay, if I don't desire it, then when it doesn't happen, I'm not disappointed because I didn't desire it in the first place. Freaking desire the thing. Desire the trip. Desire the thing for your children. Desire the thing for your family. And do it and speak in the present tense, and you're going to be shocked at what comes out of it. So, questions. I'm sorry. I could go on all day. Questions, concerns, doubts. No. Okay. Michelle. You're on mute, I love.
Yeah, I'm always on mute. I actually don't have a question or concern. It's actually a suggestion for you. You were talking about your grandmother. I'm really lucky. I live in a college town. And they actually had my grandmother as part of a project for an oral history program. So that's something you can actually do on your own with your grandmother. Like when you're asking these questions of her with intention, you can maybe try to find some of those like interview questions and write them down. So then you guys always have them, because I'm really lucky. Like I have 2 discs of interview questions that they came and asked my grandmother, and it's on the University of Florida website in their oral history program. So that's actually something that you might want to look into. Like, I know they have the whole like 3D thing now, but it's something that you guys can always have or make for yourself or make for your family. So that's
so
something that you
cool.
guys would get to keep, and everybody gets to share that history, like in your family, and not just one person has this information and one person has this information. Like, my grandmother was almost 101 when she passed away, and all of us have a copy of this. Like my aunts, my uncles, my dad, my cousins, like we all get to have this legacy of
Oh my
her.
God.
So
That's so cool.
so it's not a question, it's just something that you guys might, be able to do to kind of put together as a family.
That's very cool. It's so funny because thank you for sharing that. Michelle, if you can, I found the University of Florida, but if you can find the questions and send it to me, I would be so grateful.
Yeah, I don't know if they have the questions, but like there's just interviews that they have on the, I think it's the Richter School. It's like, you just have to type in like oral history program, and they have like documentation of like different interviews. They interview so many different people. So for my grandmother, they did it as part of like their African American like history program kind of thing. Because my grandmother she moved to Gainesville to go to school in Gainesville, like as a student, and then didn't leave. And she also worked for the university for a long time. So yeah, it was like, but they have different experiences, and that's how they catalog it for different people. But yeah, they just have a bunch of like oral history interviews at the university that they just have in like one kind of thing, and they'll send out a newsletter and say like, this is the interview, or this is our project. So yeah, it's really cool.
I love that. I've heard about something that it's like an app or something where it does that, where it gives a question and you hit record and then it records and it compiles it into a book or something along those lines. So I'm gonna for sure. And funny enough, is my mom is going to spend a week with my grandma, and next week. And I told her, I was like, sit with her, ask her the stories. My grandma's this phenomenal human that lived through World War II and the Nazis and moved to the U.S. And she has these stories that she does not think is anything out of the ordinary. But I'm like, literally, your history.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. She's like, oh, my life. She had 8 siblings. She tells all these stories of her town being bombed. Like, nothing that we in our lifetime will ever know, thank God. But that perspective is so important. So thanks for sharing that, Michelle. Awesome.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else? I love it. I love you guys sharing. So if we can help you in any, I'm going to share with Wilhelmina. We'll send out in the recap email the template that I use. You guys are welcome to use it. I'll send my agenda one, and I'll send my my goal setting by the quarter. So feel free to do it. Feel free to share it with us after you do it. I want to hear when you guys, after you do your day or your half day, or the full day, there's 365 days in a year. You can give me one to plan out what you want to do for next year. But think also really intentionally about your career and your jobs and what you want to do and what the next future step is for you. And it's also okay to be fully happy where you are and what you're doing. Just think about how, what your purpose is and why you're here. And I think the more that you can start scraping into that a little bit more, the better that it feels. And I just read an amazing book. I will also recommend to you guys. It's super short. It's called Good to Great. Or sorry. I'm lying. It's called the Go-Giver instead of the Go-Getter. Called the Go-Giver, and it's an old book, but it's really, really cool. Let's put the both of those books in the recap. That it just talks about how our life, when we put ourselves in the position of not going out and getting an achievement and striving, when we put ourselves in a position where we are giving, that is when we can experience true freedom and true joy. And it's a fictional story, and it's just a really cool story of this man talking to this other man about how you don't actually need to achieve, you don't actually need to strive, you just need to give. So it's very, very cool. I would encourage you guys to read it. But thank you for showing up for you today. Thank you for listening to me babble on. I hope that a little teeny tiny bit of the experiences, the things that I've done in my life can serve you guys, plant seeds to get your life to the next level that is filled with joy, fulfillment, and 2024 being the best year ever. And remember, if you guys have friends, if you have family, if you have parents, if you have children, they get to watch you do this stuff and they get to repeat it. So we can drive down the road with our kids in the back with a blindfold on, or we can drive with a GPS with a map, being super intentional about where we're going to go and what we're going to do, and how you will see your family's energy, life shift into excitement is really, really powerful. So I would encourage you to take a teeny tiny little step to do it for next year. Okay, have a great day, you guys, a great rest of the week. Thank you for joining us. Bye.